Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. My name is AJ with DirtCom, and this is Jarrell with EV-Lander. Check out his YouTube channel. He takes his Rivian R1T off-roading. Actually, pretty rough. Most people won't do that, but he does. He ripped his bumper off the other day. So, but yeah, so we have a special video for you because we are doing a 4x4 roller test on the R1T, and no one's done this yet, so we're excited to see how it reacts. What do you think?
I think it's gonna do pretty well. I mean, it's got 4 motors for each wheel. Why not?
Yeah, so that's the thing, is it has all the hardware. It has 4 motors, but is the software programmed correctly? That's the big question, because as you can see in the video title, we are comparing it to the Toyota Tundra, mainly comparing it to the A-trac system. So the new Tundras do have a rear locker, and as we both know with our off-road experience, rear lockers are really great. The Rivian doesn't have a rear locker, so how close will it get?
But it does have different off-road modes. So hopefully we can be able to explore the different options that you have out there. It's not something you want to drive all the time, the trails. Different options to help you get out of certain situations. So we can see what it does.
Yeah, I think my favorite off-road mode is drift.
Drift.
Yeah, no, it's a fun truck. This is our truck. As you can see, our name is plastered all over it. And I'm gonna be honest, I like it way more than I thought I would. I really don't see any reason to go back to another vehicle at this point. As far as an all-around vehicle, it just does everything, and it off-roads amazing. So we're gonna put it to the real test. Let's see how it does against A-trac, and let's see how it does against the rear locker. As you can see right here, with this one wheel, it comes off no problem. If we put it in the back, one wheel, it's gonna come off no problem. So we're gonna skip straight to the nitty-gritty, harder tests.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know what we're using, I was trying to find where I can get rollers like this. Turns out you just have to make them. Ooh, it's a nice bead, dude. So we made our own. And what exactly are we doing here?
Right, so the idea is to simulate loose traction at the wheels that we're specifically applying the rollers to. Out in the real world, while you're traversing through the trails, you can come up to numerous different situations where you lose traction to the wheels, and that's where the system's going to kick in and help you get out of the situations. So here, within our laboratory, workshop, we want to try to simulate that with these rollers and try to get the worst case situation or scenario with the truck and see how well it does.
And the worst case situation is 3 rollers on each wheel. So you only have 1 wheel with traction. And we did that with the Tundra. TFL has done it with the 4Runner, so we want to know how this reacts.
Right.
So let's get to it.
All right, so now he's on it.
All right, you ready?
Yep. Cool.
Going in crawl mode. So that was an all-terrain, which is an all-purpose. Limits you to 20 miles an hour though. Let's go in raw crawl and just see, because I felt a little bit of slippage in the rears. Yeah. So let's see if crawl mode actually helps.
Same slippage. Ooh.
Well, you know what? I'm glad we did that, because now I learned that soft sand really throws in rotation.
Right.
To get out of soft sand.
Yeah, I mean, that was interesting because the first 2 tests were exactly the same results in that you'll get maybe a quarter or half tire rotation before the front wheels pulled it off of the rails. But with this one, I mean, yeah, it was quite a bit of rotation to get in there.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I'm glad we did that. So let's do the fronts. All right, so all-terrain test, 2 front rollers. Interesting.
So this is rock crawl mode, 2 front wheels on the rollers.
Rock crawl mode.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So now the interesting one will be the cross.
Yes.
So we'll do the cross. That was really smooth, actually. Yeah. All right, so what did you think of that?
I mean, that was actually pretty surprising, but also expected because we have the tires that are on the rollers that have no traction. And as if there was a locker in that the opposite wheels that had traction just rolled the truck right off the rollers. Almost instant. There wasn't any waiting for it or anything like that like you would experience with other A-trac systems, as if there was a physical locker.
Yeah, and we'll shoot a clip to show, you know, what A-trac does in that situation.
Exactly,
Yeah.
So that was the all-terrain.
That's all terrain. Let's do rock crawl. See if it does any different.
There you go.
It's pretty smooth.
Yeah, smooth, and again, as expected.
Yeah.
The crawl and the all-terrain are very similar in that it engages very quickly.
Yeah, and one thing to note too is I'm not pressing the pedal that much.
Right.
I'm barely tapping
And
the
that's all you really need.
accelerator,
Right?
yeah.
Nice, smooth, consistent pedal pressure.
Unless you're in soft sand. Then that's why the program, the software lets it spin those tires like you saw in the other test. So now we just do the hard.
Yeah, just jump to it.
Might as well, there's nothing else, you know. Let's do the hard stuff. So with A-trac, in the car when you're using A-trac, you hear the ABS, you hear the brake, you know, you can hear it activating.
Yeah.
With this, you don't hear anything.
Right.
And so not only is it physically smoother,
Yeah.
but mentally it feels smooth.
Yeah.
Like you don't hear all this crap happening.
And that's the difference, right? So A-trac uses the brake system to apply pressure on the brakes to spin and it's spinning freely. As with this one, is you have the software controlling each individual motor and applying torque to it where it needs to go.
Yeah. You guys good?
Yep.
All right, this is the ultimate test. Yeah, so all-terrain is definitely not where you want to be in that situation,
I mean,
right?
it got you out of there.
It did, eventually, yeah.
But you can see all 3 wheels spinning, and that one tire just wants to.
Yeah.
It's almost as if you need to add a little bit more on the acceleration pedal.
I think that's what it was.
Really wanted to.
What happened to the back one?
So you had all 3 wheels had the traction on the blocks except for the one that we didn't put the rollers on. And so he was spinning.
Let's use the large pieces of wood for the front. That's why we had those.
There we go. All right, go for it. Are you, AJ?
Yeah.
Go forward. No, drive, not reverse.
Oh, I'm in reverse? You know, I'm known for that.
Oh. Oh, that's the tree.
I hit the tree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that drive or reverse?
Are you in reverse?
Sorry. We go in rock crawl. See if maybe less rotations will get it out faster.
All right.
Hopefully. I'm going in drive this time.
Drive, yes, please.
All right, good? All right, so that's with me barely pressing. I'm barely pressing the accelerator.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to go a little more to see if that's the trick with rock crawl. All right, let's try it again. Definitely have to press the accelerator more.
Okay, yes.
I think that tells the vehicle like I'm trying to go. Because when I just had it at a constant like pedal pressure,
Yes.
you saw it was just spinning and spinning and spinning.
Yeah.
But as soon as I go past a certain threshold, it actually tried to get out of it.
One good test for rock crawl is a similar situation, but trying to get over an obstacle.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, speaking of which, we do have a 8-degree hill on the driveway, which I did with the Tundra.
Right.
So we'll definitely get your we'll get your car on the hill.
There you go.
We'll see how that works.
Nice.
Let's do it again. I want to know where the threshold is. I wish there was a,
Well, you should have an indicator of your throttle position, if you will, on the right side of your display, your IC.
Look at the range impact. Oh, I should probably get another camera on that. Curious about that you gotta pay attention to is right here when I'm in drive. See that half circle? That indicates my throttle application.
Okay.
We want to know how much throttle it took for me to get out of this situation. All right, so if I just barely put any throttle, nothing happens.
One tire.
One tire?
Yep.
So if I put a little more,
2 tires. 3 tires.
okay, there's not even any indication on throttle on this indicator. So we obviously know that you need to tell the car, I want to get out of this by
Right.
pressing the throttle more, right?
Exactly.
So I'm gonna press the throttle more. I'm gonna press the throttle more. Yeah, okay, so that's the trick. It's just, it was barely an indication.
Right. On this vehicle, it's going to dictate where the torque is going. And so it doesn't know what situation you're in until you tell it by adding a little more pedal.
Yeah.
And then it'll dictate how much torque
Yeah.
and where it's going to go. So you can almost have your pedal to the floor.
I could
and
probably
it'll
have
figure
my,
it out. Yeah.
should I do it? I'm curious.
It is curious.
Right?
Because rock crawl limits your speed.
Yeah.
And it controls the torque a little bit more.
So if I'm on a hill
Yes.
and I don't want it to roll back, there's often times we're on a hill, you're like, I just want to go. That's when I would want to just hit the accelerator and get out of it. I don't want it to spin the tires and chance rolling down the hill.
Exactly.
I just want to go. So that's why it's a little more dangerous, but I want to try it if I just mash the pedal, if it actually just pulls out of it immediately. All right, let's try it.
See, and that's why we're using your truck.
That's why we're using my truck and not his. Let's see if hopefully I don't break something, but okay. Ready? Ready? It worked! It worked though.
It did.
And that really helps me knowing how to drive this vehicle, right?
Right.
So now I look back at the video, let's pop this video in, where I was not getting over the obstacle. If I would have just mashed the accelerator, it probably would have worked.
Yes. I mean, it all would have relied on one tire.
Yeah.
But there's plenty enough torque in that tire
Yeah.
to push it.
You could see the tire burned out here. Here, film it with the camera if it's still recording. Oh, it's still recording. Yeah. So that'll definitely do it. So now here's a problem with that. If I have a rear locker, it's much more controlled. So, okay, let me rephrase that. If I had a rear locker, I can get out of this situation quicker at a much more controlled rate. Like, you know, because the rear tire, well, pop in the video of the Tundra with the rear locker. There you go. All right, so now the rear locker is engaged. You can see how powerful a rear locker is. It doesn't even have to think. You got that one wheel with traction in the back. It's gonna come right off. Just letting off the brake. You see how instant that is? To come right out. I'm just letting off the brake. You see how instant that is? So, yeah, I mean, A-trac is awesome, but rear locker is just so much easier, so much smoother. You can drive with more control. Hell, no issue. It doesn't rely on software. It's nothing. It just rotates when you press the gas.
There's no delay in it.
There's no delay.
It's already,
yeah.
The pressure's
so with this one, it'll still work. You just have to know your accelerator pedal. Like if you're spinning tires, nothing's happening. You just know you got to press a little more. And as I just proved, if you mash on it, I can already see all the comments now. Hey, you got a rear locker. Yeah.
Well, so, I mean, let's do this front wheel test.
Yeah, and we'll see.
And then we can give our 2 cents as far as how this is applied, where there's improvements.
Yeah.
Maybe even different features and modes that Rivian can add to it.
Exactly. Because the beautiful thing, like we said earlier, the hardware is here. The hardware is all here. It's all about the software.
It's all software, and that's super easy to implement.
Well, theoretically it's easy, but as far as them actually doing it.
Well, yeah. I mean, for them it's tic-tac, command, keyboard, hit enter, send
for them,
over the
for
air.
us to convince them to do it is the hard thing.
Yeah.
Right? They can easily do it.
Yeah.
For us to convince them, for the market to convince them, okay, you need a simulated locker mode. That's the hard part. Will Rivian do it? We don't know.
Yeah. It's up to us and all of you out there. Like butter.
So this is all-terrain mode. So it's the same thing. I gotta actually hit the throttle a little more. Oh, it's not doing it. It's not even doing it. I'm floored right now.
Are you?
Yeah. All right, let me floor it fast and see if that makes a difference. It did make a difference. So, well, that's a new one to me. So the way you apply the accelerator pedal makes a difference on what the truck thinks you're trying to do.
Yes.
Because I had it, I slowly, it wasn't moving, I was slowly until I hit the bottom. And as you saw, it was just spinning. Then I let off, mashed it a little harder, and then it actually came off.
Yeah.
So that makes more sense now. Let me throw that clip up again. I couldn't get out of that little mud hole. My front tire, exact simulation is this. I had the other one spinning. The front tire wasn't doing anything. If I would have done that, it might have worked. But by doing this, the truck didn't know what I wanted to do.
Right.
That's really interesting. That's actually very educational, because that helps me really know how to drive this truck now.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's counterintuitive to someone like me who's had A-trac, because if you go over a certain RPM, A-trac completely disengages.
That's right, yeah.
So it's fun. It's interesting. Let's try it in rock crawl and see. Yeah.
All right, cool.
I'm in rock crawl mode. Ready to go? So I'm just gonna hit it a little bit. I'm gonna try to get to the floor like before. Okay. I'm gonna try to get to the floor like before. Okay. Floor low, no traction control, you can see it's just gonna spin. Nothing's happening, right? So, let me engage crawl control. This is with crawl control engaged. figures it out. There you go. Pretty good. I had to get pretty far down, but I didn't actually get to the floor.
Right.
So it took a little bit less throttle pressure to get it out compared to all-terrain.
Right. And actually what I saw here was I started to see that tire just slowly wanting to add torque, just getting the feel for it. And it was able to just
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So this is rally.
Rally mode.
Nope. I'm floored. Oh, that was weird. So it doesn't do it.
Let's pedal to the floor.
Yeah.
Give it some beans.
All right. All right, stand back. All right, mashing throttle pedal. That was rally mode, mashing the throttle pedal.
Right, so rally's got a lot more torque, a lot more freedom on top speed. So
Yeah, yeah. There's no speed limit in rally, so I think it was just enough to. All right. So, what did we learn?
Well, we learned that there's a way to drive the vehicle when you're in a situation.
Yes.
Right. It's completely different than using the Toyota's A-trac.
Yes.
Or even having a vehicle with a rear locker.
Yes, completely different. I mean, I didn't, it was just an idea. Like, well, let's see what happens if I mash the pedal, and it actually did work. The truck knew that I wanted to go,
Right.
and it went. Whereas where I gradually got to the floor, it just sat there spinning its wheels, not doing anything. And that's actually what I did when I was off-roading, and that clip that I inserted. I didn't mash the pedal. I gradually went down. I'm like, nothing's happening. My front wheel wasn't spinning, just like this one. So that's actually really good to know that it does. That's what it wants.
Yeah. And so, I mean, in thinking of this while you were just saying that, there's a reason why when Toyota offers the Tacoma, the TRD Pro, they have the A-trac system, the different modes, and they have the rear locker.
Yeah.
Right? So there's different situations, different scenarios. Personally, if I see an obstacle that I know I'm going to need some type of aid to get over it, I like to just get it engaged and just go through it without any drama.
Oh, yeah.
And lockers would definitely do that. Now, I'm not saying that Rivian needs to figure out how to put lockers in it.
No.
Apply full torque or equal torque to all the tires and don't have to mess with the drama of trying to figure out which tire's spinning, which tire's not.
Exactly. I really feel like a simulated locker, even just for the rears, would do a lot, because it took us throwing this thing on rollers to figure out what it wants.
Yes.
Now that I know what it wants, I'm going to be able to drive it way better when I'm off-roading. But before this, we had no idea. I'm upset because my front tire isn't spinning. I'm like, what the heck is this software? Like, why isn't it spinning?
It's not sending the power.
Keep it going. Front wheel, no? Oh, heck yeah. Woo!
But now we know why.
Yes, exactly. My biggest concern is that having to apply a lot of pedal pressure, if you will, allows you to get over the obstacle, but it introduces you to another obstacle that can be waiting for you up front. You may not want to be accelerating towards the obstacle.
Exactly. Yeah.
Having the vehicle simulate a full lock system, triple lock if you will allow you to get over that obstacle slowly, confidently, and ready and prep for the next one.
Yeah, the one thing that I can see, I don't know if they do triple lock, because they didn't give us, what was the turn? The tank turn?
Yeah.
Because when all four wheels are spinning at the same speed, or different directions, you completely lose traction. So if you're on a hill or whatever, it's just gonna go wherever the hill is. If you're at triple lock, then I could see that situation also arising where you don't actually have the best traction. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't want a vehicle that's triple lock, because it's way easier to just rock crawl over obstacles.
Right.
I mean, at the very least, they need to do a rear simulated lock.
Yes.
At the very least. It makes you drive easier. I mean, you saw when I mashed the pedal. like that's not how I want to drive
Right.
over an obstacle. You
It's
know?
fine. It's jumping out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, spinning tires. I mean,
Yeah.
you're putting wear and tear in your tires anyways on the trail.
Yeah.
But just having to negate that is, I mean, it would be a plus.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have a simulated rear locker
Yeah.
at the very least. Now, what we didn't try yet, and we're going to use your Rivian for this, is how it reacts on a hill. What I did learn with the Tundra, because it was on a hill, the front tires had no traction, the rear tires had more traction. So the rear tire on the roller was spinning less than the front tires. So I didn't know that while I was driving, so when I pressed the pedal, I hear the tire spinning. I'm like, it's not working. Well, that entire time this was doing this, it wasn't until it did one rotation that finally the brakes applied and told me to get out.
Interesting.
So all 4 tires, or all 3 tires on A-trac need to do at least one full rotation before it applies brakes to the other wheel.
Interesting.
That's what I learned from that test. But with the Rivian, it's not about how many times the wheels spin, it's about how you apply your accelerator pedal, which is a little bit confusing, especially when it varies depending on what mode you're in. So if they want to call themselves one of the best off-road trucks, and they want to keep calling themselves that, then they really need to implement a simulated locker system.